So the engineering company that I had been working with had gotten involved in various COVID-related, I guess, product design. They were working mostly with masks and respirators. And I had been interested in getting involved with something like that. And they had been working especially with the open source design movement. And I thought that seemed really interesting. And I wasn't quite sure how to make that work. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out good connections to work with. And so I remember distinctly that on April 1st, I got an email about this challenge. And what I really liked about it is that the challenge itself was very well framed. It was a very clear scope. It was a clear time frame. There was a first round, which was a month. There was a second round, which was another month. They had a very clear set of requirements of what was expected from the final outcome. And the whole project was inspired by a number of doctors, anesthesiology residents. So they were right there on the front lines with COVID. They knew it was being needed. And this was, early April. There was a huge demand for ventilators at that point. So it seemed like everything was really well set up and structured. They had support from various medical device companies, 3D printing companies. And so I thought, this is really interesting because I want to get involved, and someone has created this box that I can plug into immediately that's sort of ready to go. But I knew that there was no way that I could design a ventilator by myself. I actually knew nothing about ventilators other than, I know the basics of what they do, but I didn't know the inner workings at all. I had minimal experience with that. But I have a lot of experience with engineering design and with working with teams. And I had a ready pool of people, my whole pool of Smith engineering alums who had been through my capstone course and now are out in the world, many of them working as engineers or going to graduate school. And so I just thought, on a whim, I'll email this listserv that we have and see if anybody's interested in joining me. And I thought maybe I'd get 4 or 5 people. And I remember telling my family that night, I think I want to do this competition. I'm finding myself sitting around, working from home, wishing I had some way to contribute. This competition seems like a really good fit. And my family all said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Go for it, Mom. So I put together a survey of interest to send out to our alum list on Friday. And by Sunday, I had 30 people signed up on this list, which was far more than I was expecting. But I thought, this is great. This is a big project. It's complicated. Nobody has very much time. Everyone's doing this on top of other jobs. I was still doing my consulting at that time, and everyone else was, either full-time student or full-time employed. And I thought, this is great. We're going to get this started. I have no idea how we'll make this happen, but we're going to do it. And I reached out to Astrid because she had a lot of project management experience, and she also had expressed that she had a certain amount, enough time. She had more than the sort of 3 to 5 hours a week, which is what most of our team members had. And I reached out and I said, would you like to co-lead this with me? Because there's no way that I can do all this by myself on top of everything else. And I really want a partner in crime as we go forward through this. And she said, yes, thankfully. And we met on that Sunday and spent a couple hours trying to frame out how we would get started, how we would loop in this group of people that were all over the country that had very little time to contribute, but huge motivation. And what would we do? And how would we learn about ventilators? And the other thing that was interesting is that we knew that we had this round 1 deadline a month later, or just actually less than a month later. But we also knew that there was an abstract deadline to give a sort of thumbnail overview of what our design was. And that was due on April 15th. So really that became our first target of what can we learn enough about ventilators and come up with some design ideas and put something together that we can submit by April 15th and keep ourselves in this competition. And so that was our big push. And that's how it got started.